This is the Lockpicker 1969, and welcome to my channel, and welcome to the next episode of Interview with a Lockpicker. Today's guest is Zoe the cat. Say hi.
Hello.
So, where are you from exactly?
I'm from the southwest side of Chicago. I've been here almost my entire life within about a 30-mile radius.
Okay. How and when did you get into locksport then?
Well, when I was a child, we had a family business where we had newspaper vending machines. And we'd have locks on them, and they sat outside so they would get dirty and grimy. And my father would go and pick them up and would clean them up, refurbish them, check the functionality of them. So he showed me how to clean a lock, take it apart, check the discs in it, because they were American H10s, which were disc locks. I'm sorry, not disc locks, wafer locks.
Waver, yep.
Wafer locks. So I learned how the wafers were coded so you knew what the numbers were and how the pattern would go on them.
Okay. How long did you do that for?
Oh, I did that for probably 20 years we were in the business.
Oh, wow. So, I would imagine in 20 years you've had a lot of opportunity to learn not only those locks, but I would assume, did that lead you into being interested in other locks?
Well, I would find locks on the street that were on people's trucks. They wouldn't lock them, they'd bounce off, or people would lose them. So I'd pick up locks off the street, look at them, figure out how they worked, and say, these are interesting. When I first started picking them, I really didn't know what I was doing. I would just stick a pick I would make in there. I didn't know you had to turn the plug. So I was like, okay, why aren't these opening?
So you didn't
So I did
learn about tension until later.
later on, but I did learn the feel for pins and how they worked. And I would start taking them apart and see how they were constructed. And, oh, these springs here. Okay, why these two pins are here? And then I learned about the shear line and how that all worked out.
Okay.
Because resources were very limited when I was learning, because this goes back to, like I said, the early 70s, 80s, and there was very limited information. The internet wasn't around yet, so you
Yeah.
weren't able to look that up.
Yeah.
And
No.
there were very few publications out there.
So you mentioned to me before about at one of your jobs cutting locks off of lockers.
Yes, when I started working as a maintenance man, I would have to escort people out of the building, so we'd go and cut their locks off their lockers, clean them out. Usually they would take the locks and toss them to scrap bin. Well, I would keep the locks and I would examine them, pick them, take them apart, even fix them so they were working again. I'd weld them up and have a functional lock again.
That's cool. Okay. So at some point though, you needed tools and you made your own tools, correct?
Right. I had discovered the internet and forums like Lockpicking 101, Key Picking. There was a couple other forums out there that are no longer available, but there was patterns where you could download block picks as well as other picking tools, and they how to make tensioners and so forth. So I made my own picks out of bandsaw blades and hacksaw blades.
Okay. Cool. All right. So as I understand it, you later on came across a more official set. Where
Yes,
where
I
was that, and where was that, and what was the name of the shop?
well, I was on my way to a job interview in the north side of Chicago, and I found a place called the Spy Shop. Well, I heard about the Spy Shop, and they had tools, and went in there, seen some sets, and saw a South Ort set. I think it was like a SX14, and it was tension wrenches in there. And so, okay, I went and bought that and started using those. They're a little bit different feel than the ones I had made because they had scales on the side where mine were just flat.
Yeah.
So it was a whole new feel.
So more of a like a handle on them.
Right. And I could see, oh, okay, this feels a little more comfortable, but still love my own ones that I make.
Okay, so you mentioned that later you had purchased a Goso set. So you already had a Southward set. How did that Goso set compare then when you received that?
Well, when I got that one, that included picks for doing dimple locks and wafer locks. They had the funny shapes on there. They were
Yeah.
like Klingon weapons of war.
Yeah.
And I tried to make them. I tried to find patterns on how to make my own, and I couldn't find nothing. So I said, all right. I had gotten a email coupon for 15% off from a store online. So I said, all right. I bought that set, some other tools, and said, all right, got them. Started playing with them. Like my opinion of them is they're, somewhat. They're not as good as Southdoor set, but they did help me with doing dimple picks.
Yeah. Okay. That's kind of what I thought.
Yeah, because at the time, dimple picks were just coming out. They weren't popular like they are now.
Yeah. No, there's quite a variety of them now, even compared
Yep.
to not too long ago. So along your journey, so as you kind of dove more into the hobby-ish aspect of it, I would imagine you started checking out like different channels on YouTube and videos.
Yes, I had found Bosnian Bill, which was quite useful and quite entertaining at times. And I also had fish picks. Army Locksmith was somebody else I used to follow. And there was a couple of other ones in the earlier days. Lockpicking Lawyer. Everybody's got Lockpicking Lawyer. I think
Yeah.
everybody knows him. But
Yeah.
there was like maybe a dozen or so channels. It wasn't like it is today.
Okay. Anybody that you enjoy watching today?
Yeah, Lady Locks.
Okay.
I
She,
find Lady Locks just her enthusiasm. Like,
yeah.
hey, here, oh, it's not working. Ah, I don't know. I got this open before, but today it's not working. Well, I
She
just find it entertaining.
she has come up a few times in the last few interviews, so her ears are probably burning then.
Well,
So
she's the one that got me reinterested in the lock sports community because I was like, I'd watch a little of them here. Now I watch Picking Time Live every day, but I
yeah,
find that to be exciting. I shouldn't say every day, every Saturday. And I find that to be exciting just
yeah.
to listen to other people and pick up a little bit knowledge about other locks.
I had somebody in the Lock Lab with me yesterday and introduced him to the show live, and sent him home with a bunch of beginner Southward tools and some Master Lock number threes and some other stuff. And by that evening, he was sending me pictures of these locks picked open. So I was like, awesome, awesome, keep going.
Yep. I find kids easier to train on lock picking because they have no preset as
Oh,
to,
he's no
is this
kid.
shady?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
he's a vet. So
Mm.
into a little bit of everything, and definitely was interested in this. So I was happy to kind of get him going. So, and definitely will keep on helping him keep on if he's interested in staying with it. So your involvement in the community, how would you say? So you go back a bit with locks. So at what point did you get involved with the community, and what's it like for you today?
Well, when I was on the forums, I would put suggestions. People would talk about trying to drill through hard material, and I would suggest certain types of bits because working as a maintenance man, I tried all kinds of drill bits and found some were better than others for doing hardened steel, and some were better for softer materials. And at work, I'd have people saying, "Hey, I hear you pick locks," and they would say, "Hey, can you show me how?" And I would say, "Fine." I'd go over and get a Master 3 and show them how to pick that, and in a few seconds, that would pop open, and they were like, "Wow!" And then I told them, I said, Masters were the worst locks around
Yeah. Well,
as far as security.
I think I showed him raking open those locks. I said, but the real challenge here is learning how to single pin pick them.
Right. That
So
takes a little time to learn the feedback and how just lock just behaves. And like I tell people, I said, just because you did a Master number 3 doesn't mean you can do them all because you'll come across one that will not open up for you no matter what you do.
well,
Because it,
yeah, I just what I explained was what you learn is more dependent upon what you intend to do with it. So if you're, let's say you're working as a fireman or some kind of emergency type service, and you need quick entries, then yes, you probably want to spend more time learning how to rake locks. I mean, residential locks, for example, and all that sort of thing, because you're looking for quick entries. I said, but as a sport and as something you want to learn how to do for your own, benefit of, just kind of where your mind goes when you sit down and pick a lock. I said, single pin picking is more of the sport aspect of it. Raking is definitely something you'd want to spend time learning how to do if that's part of what you do for a living, is needing to be able to do that. So, but anyway, that's kind of how I explained it to him.
Yeah, like I said, it just depends upon what your purpose is. Is it for fun or is it for your
Yeah.
living?
Yes. Yep. So, where would you say you're at today with regard to the community then?
Well, I think I'm more active now because I exchange with other members of the community, such as oh, I forget his name right this moment. Everyone calls him Beaver. No, Luck Chuck. That's it.
Lock Chuck. Yeah.
Luck Chuck. Yes, he was the first one I reached out to. He had one of his contests going on and bought his packet, and I write, I need stickers. I need stickers. So he was so kind that he sent me a sticker and a poker chip.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I'm like, oh,
Cool.
okay. So I
Hey,
started.
after this, and send me your pertinence that where I can mail some to you, and I'll send some off to you as well.
Well, I actually have some of yours from Lady Locks. I won
Does
one of her drawings.
the stickers or the poker chips?
Oh, I think the stickers, not the poker chips yet.
Yeah, yeah. Get me your info. I'll get you some poker chips.
Now you guys are gonna get me back into gambling again.
I only picked him up as a. I happen to be watching somebody else who's in the community, but not necessarily. His lock picking is not his focus. And this is about a year ago. I noticed he had a poker chip display stand in the background for one of his videos, and I'm like going, I like that idea. That's really cool. So I started doing poker chips, and now it seems like everybody's doing poker chips now, but not sure who was the catalyst there, myself or someone else, but I think it's cool that everybody's doing poker chips now. So
Well, actually, I'd gotten a poker chip from S&E Lock and Key. He has a show on Saturday morning, and I got on his show. And for Christmas, they sent me some stickers, and there was a poker chip in there. That's the first poker chip I got.
that's cool.
Yep.
So what was I going to say here? Oh, so you have a YouTube channel, but right now there's nothing on it. So what are your intentions with that?
Well, my intentions are I got interested in the belt system. Now, at first, I really didn't pay much attention to it because I remember videos that you'd see somebody put a pick in the lock, in 3 seconds it popped open. Or they would grab a difficult lock like an Abus and boom, it was open. Until later on, I found out most of those were faked.
Yeah.
That's why I like the belt system, because you got to gut it the same time you pick it to prove that you didn't tamper with it.
Yes. Well, yeah. So I think what you're referring to in the faking part is when you have a guttable lock and you remove all the pins but maybe one, and then
Right.
show yourself picking it, making it look like you're actually picking it, and then you're picking one pin. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
pop. Oh, look at me! I got this difficult lock done in
Yeah.
3 seconds.
Yeah. No,
Because
I definitely appreciate the fact that they make you gut it.
yes,
You have
because
to reassemble for green, I believe, but after that, it's just you have to be able to gut. The
well,
reassembly part isn't part of it
eh,
anymore, but
that helps you understand the lock, because once you
yeah.
take the lock apart, you understand how the lock is put together,
Yes.
and in your mind's eye, you can see. Well, this is what was giving me problems. They say, okay, that's what a spool looks like. Okay, that's how the spool gets stuck on the edge there when you're trying to make the shear line. Oh, okay, I see that, and people are like, well, it's difficult to understand without seeing something. It's like my work when I fix machinery. Unless I know the insides of the machinery, trying to fix it, it's quite difficult.
Yeah, so along those lines, when I was trying to help this guy, this friend of mine yesterday, I have 3D printed models of a single pin stack, and it allows you to apply tension, and it allows you to show, pushing the pins up through the stack. And I have a model for every different one, so spools, serrated, and so forth. And he was, very interested to understand better how to get past certain things, serration versus a spool, very, very different approach to
Yep.
getting past that. So, and how you can very easily get caught up with, what do you call, oversetting. So, but yeah, so that's that. I agree with you 100% there. So,
Well, like when I first got my first false set with the spool, I could not figure this out. Well, it's rotated. Why ain't it going anymore? Come on, why ain't you turning? And then I figured out, all right, this is how a spool works. This is why I can't turn it. So, okay, I got counter rotation. Let up tension a little bit, push a little bit more of the pin up, and
yep,
there, I got it past the shear line.
yep.
So
So,
I actually physically seen it. I wasn't any idea what I was doing.
so you're going to start working on videos for your channel that, or you're trying to help people.
Right. Well, for instance, now with Smiley dimple locks, I've seen people using regular tension wrenches to tension them, and I'm looking at them. I have a unique tension wrench. It actually works the top and the bottom of the keyway, leaves the whole keyway open, so that I'm able to manipulate it more.
Okay.
So so I'm sitting looking at this and said, okay, I can come up with a keyway here that I can do both sides of the keyway and pick it and got more control over it. So if I ever come across one that actually has some real difficult pins in it, I'll be able to control the tension much better.
Okay. Well, I look forward to seeing that one. That video
Yes,
when you do
like I
it.
said, my first one's going to be a master number 3 because it's the easiest to do, and that'll
Yeah.
be my first belt.
There you go. Very cool. So, okay. So I want to get into a couple of perhaps non-lock sport related questions. What do you do for a living?
I'm a general maintenance,
Okay.
meaning that one day I'll be working on computer network lines, and the next minute I'll be doing plumbing, such as putting sinks in or unclogging toilets.
So, jack of all trades.
Basically, yes, except for me, I've actually got paper to show that I've gone to school and that I'm certified in a lot
Gotcha.
of areas.
Yeah. Okay. So, amongst your hobbies, though, you've listed wood carving.
Yes, I was big into wood carving. In fact, I've been at some shows where my carvings had won ribbons and prizes, and there used to be a club out here in the Chicago area that I would sit and go in and we'd see people carving, and we'd have guest speakers come in and show us how to do particular types of carving.
So, is that carving? Is that like whittling type carving, or is that with like wood chisels?
Well, whittling, you'd use a knife,
Yeah.
where wood carving, they actually use
Yeah.
gouges and chisels,
Yeah.
and it's more delicate. Where whittling, you just sit there with a knife and do a rough caricature or something.
Okay. Yeah. I guess I'm kind of um, comparing the two as far as you're still carving, with the wood. Whittling is
Right.
the tool approach, but yeah. Okay. I got you.
Yeah, where I would do figure carving, such as furlies and stuff. You'd see it on furniture where you'd see the scales on the sides where you'd have the shells and the leaves all dug in with the veins and stuff. That's the type of carving I would do.
Yeah. I got into carving and whittling, but I got into carving, and my wife went out and she's like, "Oh, you're interested in carving? Let me go out and get this." So it's like a Swiss-made chisel set, and I'm like, "Okay, I wasn't really committed that much to it yet, but I guess I am now." So, but yeah, that was fun. So, drawing and sketching are two of your other hobbies, though, correct?
Right. Well, if I come up with an idea for a tool, I would sit and sketch it out and then work on.
Ah, okay.
Okay, cool. I can do this and do that. Because part of my job doing maintenance, I'd be on the third shift. So it's 3 o'clock in the morning. We have a machine breakdown. All right, I go over there and I don't have the tools. I need to take it apart. So I'd go back and make my own tools so I could work on it.
Okay.
As well as take busted parts back to the shop, weld them up, remachine them, put them back in the machine until they got the proper replacement parts.
Okay. All right, cool. Um, have to ask this one. Where does your name come from?
It's a Dutch name, the Netherlands.
Okay.
My family's only been in the country now for a little over 100 years. My grandfather's family came over around 1901, I believe it was, because he was the first family member born in the U.S.
Okay. I think we're talking about your real name. Maybe I'm talking about the name you
Oh,
use online, Zoe the cat.
okay. Oh, Zoe. Okay. I'm sorry.
That's all
No,
right.
Zoe. Zoe was my 18-year-old gray and black tabby. I had her for 18 years. She was the sweetest cat I ever had. She didn't like being held. That's the only thing about her. And I want to pick her up and hold her, and she would have nothing to do with it.
Okay. I was going to say, you've got a pretty rich history of the name of your cat going on there. Just-
Well, when I started on the internet, I had picked my dog's names for security passwords and security names and so forth. And I'm sitting there thinking of, okay, what kind of handle did I want? And I'm seeing these other people's handles, and I'm like, oh, no, no. And my wife at the time said, hey, why don't you just call yourself Zoe? All right, tapping Zoe. Oh, there's a Zoe here. Okay, Zoe 1, Zoe 2. Went through the whole number. I said, okay, it's a very popular name. So, okay, what can I think of? Okay. All right, Zoe, she's a cat. Okay, Zoe the cat. All right, that's the name, Zoe the cat.
okay. Hey, she lived for 18 years?
18 years. One
That's,
day on Thursday, I'd come home from work and she's a little lethargic and she was still eating and drinking. By
oh,
Sunday, she couldn't even walk around the house.
well, that's bad. That's too bad.
Well, animals don't live long. I've had several
No,
cats and several dogs.
but while they're just a part of our lives, we are their entire life. So
Yep.
that's what I try to think of. I'm a cat person myself. So, all right. So, last question before we wrap up.
Okay.
What would you say is your favorite aspect of lock sport?
The camaraderie between people. You meet these people online and you talk to them and you really don't know them as friends. You'd call them friends like Facebook friends and stuff, but you'd ask them a question and they would come back and tell you, oh, even a simple question. And you wouldn't get this, hey, that's the dumbest question I ever heard of. Somebody will come back and say, you know what? That's an interesting question. You can go look here. Or if
Okay.
like you ask people, well, what's a shear line?
Yeah.
And you're like, well, that's a dumb. Well, for somebody who's just starting out, they don't know.
Yeah. No, there are no dumb questions. So,
Well, it's like I heard somebody talking about a flag pick. Okay, what's a flag pick? I'd never heard of a flag pick before. So I asked, what's a flag pick? And they said, oh, it's looks like a flag. It's for doing dimple locks.
yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Then I heard slider pick, and I'm like, okay. And me, myself personally, I would call the sliders, I'd still call them discs because, not disc, wafers, because they're still, to me, they're wafers.
hmm Yeah.
Because the wafer locks you see nowadays were actually card locks years ago. That's how those were set up.
Yep.
So it's like, all right, that's something new to me, but that's what they were called back then. They were just called wafer locks.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I know that like what you see in slider locks today, you have those in still are those are what's used in like automobile ignition.
Right. They're
So,
still the same with the
yep.
exception of some cars like Fords. They have little ones that are like disc locks.
Yep. Okay. So, is there anything you'd like to say to our audience before we wrap up?
Find my channel, subscribe, so when I have videos, you can look at them and laugh at them and say, oh, this guy's goofy. Yeah, I'm goofy, all right.
Definitely. All right. I appreciate you doing this interview. I've had a lot of fun laughing with you. It's been a blast. I do
Well,
appreciate the time.
life's a trip. You might as well have fun doing it.
You got it. All right. All right. All right. With that, I'm going to wrap this one up. If you are a subscriber, thank you. If you are not yet a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications and all, and hit like on the video. And thanks for watching.